Today we're going to talk about Creative Commons and what that means in relation to copyright. So what I would like everyone to do is go to the copyright unit notes, which is part of Unit 3, copyright unit. Open the copyright unit notes, and if you go down to section that says Creative Commons, we're going to fill in these notes together. From this video. So if you need to pause the video to write stuff down, please do so. Remember, I encourage you to use voice typing or word prediction, because this part does have a lot of typing, sorry. If you have questions about anything, please email me or let me know when I see you in class again next time, okay? So let's get started. So Creative Commons. So we talked about copyright and fair use and how to be a good digital citizen by using media legally. But Creative Commons kind of is another piece of the pie when we're related to copyright. And what it is, we're going to not watch this video right now. You're going to watch it by yourself, which explains a little more. We're going to talk about what Creative Commons is. Creative Commons is when you're giving permission for people to use or share your work ahead of time. So, and it's indicated by the CC in a circle like this. That means, so copyright is a single C in a circle. Creative Commons is CC. So, unlike regular copyright, so let's say I write a song and I post it so it's available for people to use, and I say it's Creative Commons. Creative Commons means that they don't have to ask me every time they want to use my song in a movie. I could put a Creative Commons license on it instead, so they know, oh, I could use this in a movie as long as I follow the rules. And they don't have to ask my permission. They still have to say I'm the one who wrote it. They have to like cite their source, and there's some other things that we're going to get into, but they don't have to ask me every time because I've kind of given pre-permission for them to use that in certain situations. This is different from public domain because public domain means there is no more copyright protection for this work and other people may use it freely. Creative Commons means that there's still copyright protection for my work, but in certain situations, they don't need to ask permission. Okay? So remember, you're going to type in the blue stuff on the blanks in your notes. So these next four terms are terms that are related to Creative Commons, and I want to just make sure everybody knows what they are before we get into the nitty-gritty of all the other licenses for Creative Commons. So the first word that comes up a lot is attribution. And attribution is recognizing a particular person as the creator of a work or a creative material. So it's basically you're telling people, hey, I used the song, it was by Miss Garza. Or it was written by Taylor Swift, or this movie was made by, Kevin Smith. Or you're just telling people, hey, this person created this work. I didn't create it. I used their work and it had a Creative Commons license. That's all attribution means. It means tipping your hat and saying somebody else did created this other work. Okay. Commercial is another term that is going to come into play, and commercial, what it means is they're in the business of making money, like a company. A company wants to make the most amount of money or profits as possible. That's the point of a company. We live in a capitalist society. Commercial means making money. Non-commercial, the next term, means not in business of making money, like schools or nonprofit organizations. So for schools and nonprofit organizations, our goal is to cover our costs of running our organization and to do the things we want to do, but not necessarily, we're not making a profit. So for instance, a school like our private school at Lawrence School, our tuition, our dollars that come in, or other funds that we might get from other sources, cover the cost of educating our students, And it's not like we have extra at the end of every year. If we do, we're buying stuff that is going to contribute to our school in some way, but we're not like giving dividends or stock options or stuff like that because we're not in business of making money. So nonprofit organizations are the same way, like the American Heart Association, the Cancer Society. They bring money in, but they want to spend as much of that money out by doing research or giving like help assistance to other people, to help, but they're not keeping the money themselves to like make a profit or earn extra stuff. So there's commercial is making money, non-commercial is not worried about making money. They just want to kind of cover their bases, their cost of running their organization, but not making a profit. A derivative is the last term, and this is something that is based on another source. So it's kind of the idea of remixing. So a derivative, for instance, Romeo and Juliet is the original source of that story of Romeo and Juliet. A derivative would be like West Side Story, which is a musical loosely based on the idea of Romeo and Juliet. So it's a derivative. So it's like another version or some changed version of the original. You, because you're a child of your parents, could be considered a derivative of your parents, if you want to get technical about it. Remember, pause the movie if you need to like fill in any blanks. So there are 6 varieties of Creative Commons licenses that we're going to talk about, and they're all slightly different. And some of them have really long names, but we're going to break it down so everybody understands what all that means. And I put the pictures of each license in your notes so that you would have it there. So let's talk about the first one. The first license, which says CC attribution, this license means that it lets others share, which is distribute, remix, change, tweak, and build upon your work, even commercially, which means for money, as long as you credit the original creation. So, and I think I mentioned Buffy the Vampire Slayer before, but in the show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they used a lot of artists who were using freeware songs, or they weren't asking for money to use their songs in the show. And by doing so, they still cited the original song and creators in the show in the credits saying, hey, we used this song with permission. But if it was a Creative Commons songs, we could have just said, listed them in the credits, and that would have been done. So that's all it means. You're putting like that information in the credits or somewhere in the in the in your work, in your remixed version of that work. So if I find a Creative Commons song and I re-record it with like maybe make it a country version or a rock version instead of its original version, as long as it was originally an attribution license, that would be okay. As long as I said this is based on so and so song, that would be okay to do. So whenever you see this little guy right here, that means you're attributing your source, and all 6 licenses have you do that, because you never want to say that you created this work. You created the remix. The original was still created by who wrote it and has the license for it. The second type of Creative Commons license is called attribution share alike. What that means is that you could use somebody's work, their song, their movie, their whatever, their book, and you could change it and build it. And even if you're making money off it, as long as you credit them and say they created the original, and if your new creation also has the same license. So in the first one, even though I'm using a Creative Commons like song in my movie, I could still copyright my movie and not make it a Creative Commons license. In this case, if I make a movie using that song, I have to make my movie a Creative Commons share alike license versus a full copyright. So it's kind of like putting a slight restriction on it, but that's okay. So the share alike SA has the little like loopy there arrow, loopy arrow. The third type of license is called attribution no derivatives. And this license, again, you're allowed to share it, you can make money off of it or not, as long as you don't change it in any way and you credit the original creation. So in my story where like I'm using a Creative Commons song, an attribution song in my or attribution no derivatives. If I'm using a song with this license in my movie, I have to use the original recording, the lyrics. I can't change anything. Whereas if I wanted to make, like if it was like a ballad, but I wanted to make it into a fast rock song, I couldn't do that without asking the original creator first. Okay, so the equal sign or ND means you cannot make changes to the original creation. Okay. The fourth license is attribution non-commercial. And what this means is that, yes, I have to say who the original creator of this work is, and I'm allowed to share it and change it and whatever, but I can't make any money off of it because it's non-commercial. So as long as I'm not, like if I use it for educational video and I have non-monetized YouTube, that would be fine. But if I want to sell my movie to a studio to try to sell it on Netflix, that would not be allowed with a Creative Commons attribution non-commercial license. So it has a little dollar sign with a slash through it, so you cannot make money off of your new creation if you use something that has this license. The next type is the attribution non-commercial share alike. And again, notice they're getting a little more restrictive. So this one lets you use somebody else's work. You could change it, you could tweak it, you could share it, but you can't make money off of it. You have to attribute the original creator, and you have to put the same Creative Commons attribution non-commercial share alike license on your new work. So you couldn't put like a regular copyright or even a different Creative Commons license on it. You has to be the same license protection that the original has. And the last type of Creative Commons license is attribution non-commercial and no derivatives. So this is the most restrictive of the 6 types of licenses. It only allows you to download like somebody else's work and share it as long as you credit them, but you cannot change it in any way and you cannot use it commercially. So again, if I'm making a movie, I use a song with this license on it. Again, I can't change the song in any way. Whoever sung it. Whoever whatever tempo, whatever, you can't change the lyrics, nothing like that. And I can't make money off of mine. And I have to say who the original creator was. So they will all have these own, so you can figure out just by looking at the pictures kind of how restrictive the license for Creative Commons is. The last thing we already mentioned before was the abbreviation. That means the holder of a copyright is choosing to waive or not accept copyright protection on their work. And it's going to immediately become part of the public domain. This is also known as freeware. So if I write a book today and I say, something, I don't want copyright protection, I'm just going to put it out in the world and anybody can use it and, remix it however they want. As long as I put one of these either the C with the slash or a 0 with the circle around it, that means public domain. So I don't want copyright protection. They really don't have to ask for my permission to use my work, and they can freely use it and remix it. They can't say they wrote it. I'm still the creator of this work, but I could use it any way I want to. Okay, that was a lot of stuff. I want you to do your best to fill in these notes based on what was in this video. And we're going to discuss this more in class. Thanks.